Robert T. Strathearn Historical Park and Museum is located at 137 Strathearn Place in West Simi Valley. There is a lot of parking here available, and the parking is free. When they have special events, this parking lot will be overflowing. It's a little more difficult, but on an average day, there's always parking available. When you pull up to the park, the first thing you're going to see are these huge trees. With most of the parks, there are rules here. My suggestion is when you come here to first go into the visitor center and museum. There you can get information on all the buildings that are here in the park. So inside the museum here, there's a lot of displays, some of the relics that they have here, pots, the stone items and such. Very informative. You can learn a whole lot when you come into this museum. This is one of my favorite displays. It's a mortar and pestle and a Chumash basket. There are a lot of paintings and period pieces in here that tell you what it was like in the late 1800s when Simi Valley was being established and Strathearn became one of the biggest plantations here in the valley, about 15,000 acres. This is the original St. Lima of Peru church that was built in 1902. It was used for congregations until 1968, and it was moved to the park here after that. So you can come here, go inside and visit that. Throughout the parks, there are plaques that explain the history to you. This is how Tally Colony House. Colony houses were built on the East Coast as prefab homes and shipped via rail to Semiopolis in 1888 and were to form the core of the new city emerging in Simi Valley. This is the Simi Library, the first library built in town, and it was built in 1930 and was shut down in 1962 when a new library was built. This is one of the main attractions here at Strathearn Park. This is the Simi Adobe. It is the oldest known standing structure in Simi Valley, and it was built in 1810. One of the best things here at Strathearn Park is the Strathearn House. This house was built on this site in 1889 and it still stands here. Here's just a little sneak peek inside of the original ranch barn here. So I'm not going to show you a whole lot. I want you to come out to the park to see it yourself. This is where they hold a lot of events. A lot of weddings take place here and receptions occur in this area. There are a lot of period vehicles and farming equipment that was here. There is a windmill here, the Simi store, which operates as a functioning store during events, and the Simi Barbershop. One of the exhibits here are on the apricots. Apricots were one of the first crops that were grown here, and this display tells you a lot about the harvesting of them. In this shed, there are a lot of period farm equipment because this whole area was farming for quite some time and became famous for the apricots and then eventually for the citrus. So there are a lot of cool buggies, there's some tractors, there's all kinds of stuff here. There's even a bean planter here. Here's a good example of a side delivery rake. Many hours I spent driving one of these around hayfields as a kid growing up on the farm. Strathearn House sits on the original site of a Chumash village Indian city named Simi, from which the name Simi was derived. So on the 6-acre park here, visitors can see examples of Chumash Indians, the Spanish Rancho, and Pioneer. All three are exhibits here, and you can learn about the history of this area of those 3 different time periods. The park is a nice, quiet respite in the middle of the city. You can come here during the day and have a private tour. They do tours for school buses full of kids, and when they have special events, this wide open area here is open to vendors and people that perform. They put stages up here, they have music. A lot of events take place here. A lot of private events, including weddings and celebrations and parties, take place here. If you want to have a party, you can have that here too. But rules apply, and there are costs to rent the park. You can check on the website and get some of the details. Strathearn Historical Park and Museum is owned and managed by Simi Parks and Rec. The Historical Society helps guide a lot of what goes on here and puts on programs and works the museum and the historical restoration of things that are here, like the houses and the equipment. And they put on a lot of fundraising functions funds to keep the park operating. El Rancho Simi was established in 1795 as the first Spanish colony land grant in Ventura and Santa Barbara. So there is a lot of history here in Ventura County, but a lot of people don't know about it. There's a quiet little yard in back of the church with picnic tables and landscaping here so you can come out, sit and enjoy. Strathearn Historical Park covers 3 different time frames of this area: Indian, the Spanish, and the pioneers. This large open area is used for events. They put up stages here, food vendors, a lot goes on here. The park sits on historical land. This is part of the original Strathearn Ranch, which was 15,000 acres. It also sits on the site of a Chumash village. Strathearn Park is open during the week for tours. You can guide yourself through, or with appointments, you can get a docent tour of the park. It is also available for school kids during the week to come in by the busload. So sometimes you're here, you'll see a lot of kids running around checking out the history of Simi Valley. There is a lot of old farm equipment here. There's one that says Oliver Gain Plow. I guess maybe some of my relatives were living here at some point. I don't know about them, but so I want you to take some time to come out here and see Strathearn Park and enjoy some of the history that's here in Simi Valley. I didn't realize how far back the history went here, and I've learned so much. To me, it's very interesting to learn that this was originally a Chumash village or city named Simi. It was later part of the Spanish land grants that came through here, and then the pioneer days of the Strathearns. Come out here and spend an afternoon or a morning and get a tour, or just guide yourself around. So I want to thank you for joining me out here today. I hope you've had a good time, and see you next time.